Most people are lucky to leave a mark on one century, but our next subject claimed to have mastered them all. He was a virtuoso, a linguist, and a master chemist, and if you believe the eyewitnesses, a man who simply forgot how to age. This week on Divination Detectives, we're opening the dossier on Comte de Saint-Germain. Emerging in the royal courts of 18th century Europe, he was the ultimate man of mystery. He didn't just predict the future, he spoke of the past as if he had lived through it personally, describing dinner parties with Cleopatra and private chats with Queen of Sheba. But who was he really? To King Louis XV of France, he was a trusted secret agent and an alchemist who could heal cracked diamonds. To his enemies, he was a dangerous charlatan. To historians, he is a cold case that refuses to stay buried. He officially died in 1784, yet he's been spotted at world events for the last 250 years.
Very, very interesting one indeed. The Count de Saint-Germain. Yeah, I was very interested in him for a number of reasons. He shows up, as a character in, TV shows, movies,
Mm-hmm.
books, that kind of thing. It's kind of how he got on my radar. But then, of course, conspiracy theory life that I lead now.
Yeah.
There's, talk of him being possibly a vampire because he doesn't age, like literal, the literal sucking of the blood. There's also like, energy vampires. Maybe there's another way that he was able to harvest energy.
Hmm.
There's definitely talk about like, yeah, alchemy. You mentioned fixing diamonds. But then also I heard of making pearls larger. He also knew like 12 different languages. I don't think there's like an exact birth date that is written or anything. There's just kind of a guess of the year he may have been born, which is the late 1600s, 1690s roughly. But that is also kind of just a theory. There's no proof to that. But in that depiction, he's apparently the son of a count in Transylvania,
Hmm.
which links that vampire connection. But then also like in when he's there's accounts of him telling people that I lived with in the times of Jesus. I was back in Dante's times, like these kind of things. So they don't know if he was telling the truth or if it was just maybe he was time traveler. Maybe, there's so many possibilities here. Like, but there is, a lady, I feel like she was in, let me see here. Yeah, there was a contest that had seen her when she was younger in the 1740s in Venice. And then I believe it was like 40, 50 years later, she sees him in France and she's an old lady and he looks exactly the same, like around 45. And she's like, dude, like, was that your dad? And he's like, no, but I myself was living in Venice at the end of that century. And she's like, that's impossible. And he's like, no, I am very old. It's not impossible. And so she was kind of calculating, like, you must be like around 100 years old by now.
Yeah.
So there's like these depictions of, and like things like this happening all the time. And then there was even like a recording of his death in Germany. I want to say this was before King Louis. But then he goes on after that to be in the court of with King Louis. He meets the poet Voltaire in France as well. He's rumored to have known Casanova. So there's Marie Antoinette connections. There in French Revolution connections. But then after he just kind of disappears for a while, there was this other all the way past the French Revolution. We're going to 1821 where he shows up in the States and has like a whole other identity. And he had this other identity, and he was called Major Fraser. And basically, there's a story about Major Fraser that he lived alone. He never talked about his family. He spent lots of money, never, said where the money came from, and then he kind of disappears without a trace after a little bit of time. So this, places 1820s. And then there's even another account later than that where someone was claiming to be in 1972 was claiming to be him. So we just don't really know. We're going to look into some of these claims to see, but yeah, he pops in and out of history for quite like 250 years, basically. Very interesting indeed. How did he do this? Very good question. Are we talking like, yeah, physical energy, harvesting, alchemy? Maybe he's, changing something in his blood. Like, what exactly is going on here? We are going to find out.
So yeah, this man is definitely an elusive one. So we have an alchemist, we have a magician, historic figure. Before we open the cards, before we have that sort of perspective, what do you think? Is this an immortal?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I'm leaning towards like time
Okay.
travel. Yeah, I don't know, because it just seems like all the stories and stuff too about like how he portrayed himself. And maybe like we can, when we check into the cards, maybe it wasn't like physical, but maybe it was like he could travel in his mind or whatever. But the youth thing, yeah, I feel like it's time travel. That's my guess.
Okay. I'm leaning towards because I love fantasy and mystery. I would go towards like an immortal, which would be fun. Yeah,
Vampire-ish.
sort of like an
Yes.
immortal.
Okay. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I completely forgot that we spoke about this
Yeah.
topic when we last recorded. I think we were speaking about Madame Lenormand in our last episode. No, sorry, Saturn, right? And Madame Lenormand episode. I actually ordered a book and I just got it recently and finished it in the last yesterday actually. Red Winter, and it has this as the main character, this immortal man that is in France and is dealing with the beast of Gévaudan, the werewolf,
Okay.
and there's the Greek gods in there. We have a love triangle, all of that stuff. But the ploy is that he's basically possessed by a demon that's become like his companion over the centuries, and he's apparently like
Oh,
3,000 years old, and is just immortal. Like his flesh is immortal. So I'm like, it's
interesting.
funny. Like I just finished that book, and we're recording today.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. I
So
love
I
that.
fancy myself a bit of fantasy, so I'm going to go immortal. The time
Okay,
traveler
I
would
like
make a
that.
lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean we're about to find out.
Then
So
how is he never aging?
yeah, that's the part.
Even if he
Even if
is
he
time
is
traveling.
traveling, you
Yeah.
would think that you would come in at different ages. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Right?
Okay, let's see. Because the
Unless
crazy part about him is like being noted by notable people in history, right?
yeah.
And yeah, and then some of the stories, it's like, it could just be, hearsay or someone threw that in somewhere. But when you're talking about like Catherine the Great or Voltaire or Marie Antoinette, like I didn't see the documents myself, but he must be, have been mentioned somewhere in writing
Yeah.
by these people.
Yeah.
So that's the crazy part.
Hmm.
Okay. So what the first question is how is he doing it? Are we on agreement that it is him and he is all over these centuries? Like
I would say yes. Like, is it the same? Okay,
Ooh.
let's start there. Is this the same
Okay.
person? Like, is the accounts of appearances of Saint Germain, is it all the same person? Let's do it that way.
Yeah, that's
Let's start
perfect.
there. So we have that basis covered. So this is half and half. I got the judgment in reverse,
Okay.
then the Empress, which judgment in reverse would be like, no, the Empress is yes. 10 of Wands, actually, in reverse, which to me, like, in reverse is like, yes, is more of a positive aspect. And then the Star, which is also a yes. So overall, I would say like yes, it is the same person, but I think there is also like potentially like very strong genetics. So some of the sightings might have been like descendants, like of
Okay.
his like lineage. But I think for the most part, it was him. Like it was the same person.
I think too that he was very so I got these two cards. One of them is dice, and also another card, it was this dog, which is about loyalty. So he was very loyal to shaking things up and changing up his stories and kind of fooling people. It almost was like a game to him, and it's kind of how it's coming across. And he was just so like loyal to the game. Like he kept trying to wanting to do more and stay, go further and go higher up in society. And yeah, I think he was really good at like taking a risk and knowing when, he could show himself and when he couldn't show himself.
Yeah.
And I think he did have I mean, he was kind of a loner, is what I, get
Yeah.
from a lot of the accounts. But I feel like too that like some of these people that did know him, if I don't know a lot about Voltaire, but I'm just thinking a poet in in turn of the century France is kind of a little bit of a drama queen. Like maybe there was like
Yeah.
some embellishments.
Most likely, yeah.
Another account was that like he actually did sell like hair dye and makeup and things like this too. Like so that yeah, maybe he did conceal himself and come back as himself in different times, but maybe I think he like changed his identity in between as well.
Yeah, likely. Yeah. I
Sorry, I feel like I went off on a tangent on the original question.
That's okay. It adds
But
value.
that's kind of just like what was coming through with these two
Yeah.
little cards. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would agree 100% in the sense of like the loner aspect by the accounts and then also by what you're saying as well. Feels like isolated for the most part, like keeping to himself, like keeping his secrets, which I think added to the allure and the mystery
Mhm,
that he was,
mhm.
and kind of not letting people in too close or just close enough to what he wanted. So I think that was very controlled.
Yeah.
But yeah, also makes sense that he would cover himself up or, wear makeup and present as a different person for the sake of spying or getting information or whatnot.
Mhm.
So,
So what else can we ask? Like, I want to know like how he was doing it now. Like,
yeah.
what
Yeah.
were the means? Louis Bebes, you're so hard on my card. Okay, I'm going with tarot this time because my kid has taken these oracle cards. Okay.
So what are you using as far as tarot today?
So it's so funny. This is like not a dark deck at all, but I have the Muse Tarot, which is like a really like bubblegum
Ooh.
neon kind of deck. But some of I like it because I don't know, just the depictions are just not really like traditional. So I kind of
Mhm.
like that about it.
That.
I just can't believe what I just got for how does he do it? I'm just like, it's so funny.
What did you get?
Okay, so I got the devil.
Shit. Okay. Manipulation. Sure. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
In this depiction, I love the devil in this card in this deck because in most decks it shows the devil kind of taking over and he's in charge. But in this deck, it has the woman that is kind of the puppet master and
Ooh.
she is in charge of how things are going. So is this card is very alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very puppet master. She's got strings on her fingers. And so how does he do it? Also, I would say it touches more on that vampire theory because we're talking about Capricorn energy, body, the devil.
Yeah.
Also like, yeah, making things work the way that you want. There's also fire and red, and it just reminds me of blood here. But there's also a balance too of it, like the physical and the spiritual. So he was again up very accomplished, I would say, alchemist in balancing energy. So he was able, I think, to physically take energy from people,
Yeah.
yeah, use it in a way that he needed. So it almost gives me this feeling of like if you think of I'm not saying he did Reiki, but if you think of that concept of Reiki of energy healing, it's almost like, oh, I can use this person's, let's say, blood or orgasm or fear or whatever type of energy he's taking from this person. And he's like, I'm going to apply that directly to my skin cells and smooth these lines. And it's almost like he was being very particular about like where he put the energy. And it's almost like it's always like a work in progress. Like he never stopped doing this. So it's not like, oh, I just need one dose for the year. It's like it was just constant.
Hmm.
Um, and that's another thing with these type of people or beings. It's like they can't create their own energy. They have to constantly be taking it from others. Even when he was being creative and a spy and this and that, it's like he was still stealing information, stealing energy, getting people, blackmailed. And it kind of gives me like very shady character energy, but at the same time, like, he was very, I think, worldly and like fun to talk to and like, all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
An
but what
entertainer.
he actually was doing with the energy was very, very shady, I think. Yes. What are you getting?
Well, Page of Swords in reverse, Moon
Mm,
in reverse,
moon. Oh yeah.
and Knight of Cups in reverse. So definitely this more, I guess, ethereal, mystical, vampiric energy, particularly with the moon, playing with the shadows, playing with the dark, playing with the subconscious, I guess, in many
Mm,
different ways. I
mm-hmm.
wouldn't call him a charlatan, but I would say that he was definitely having a lot of tricks up his sleeve and that he was very, very well versed in how to make somebody believe something that he wanted them to, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think that he definitely used the charm to his advantage in great many ways. I wouldn't say time traveler, doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like quantum or time jumping. It feels definitely like a more mystical being, or like an individual that just woke up one day and, you know, realized he wasn't aging or something. And yeah, I think that he mastered the arts. I believe that considering the history that he had, he would have likely either grown up in court or been a part of court for long enough to where he would learn the etiquette, where he would learn the ways, the behaviors, the conversations. So whenever he would approach court or some sort of baron or some sort of, whatever, royal family, he would fit in, right? So he had, I feel like, the
Yeah.
ability through that history, through that learned behavior, to just sort of fit in when necessary. But yeah, it doesn't feel like time traveling, doesn't feel like he was of all of that, like coming from the future, like literally just feels like very, very old and yeah, never really shifted. But I do think that he definitely played around and likely like has children and all of that stuff around, like descendants, which
Oh,
would
okay.
have
So you think
also
there's
been.
children?
I would say so. Like with what we got before and what I'm getting now, it sort of feels like that sense of, there is a lineage likely, and like some of the accounts of Saint Germain that would have been seen would likely be his children that are very similar to him, or like
Okay.
his children or descendants to be more accurate, because this could be like
Okay.
several generations after. Um, yeah, yeah, but I think I
I
would go so
I get
more
that. I
so with
think you're
vampiric.
right. I think the most recent account, like in the 70s, it's interesting because after I mentioned that, the rest of the article actually says that this dude died by suicide, like less than 10 years after claiming this. He was him.
Hmm.
Um, and it's
But did
funny
he
because you were just
really?
mentioning like the descendants, and I got the Hierophant, and it came out with the Knight of Swords reverse. So it's like, yeah, someone in the lineage, someone that knew the teachings. They were being Knight of Swords reverse, which is like they were a little bit like jump the gun, like they kind of were not thinking, they acted before they thought. They kind of, yeah, I think when he showed himself, it almost just, it came from a place that was out of line with what he was taught, with what he was supposed to, reveal. So I feel like that wasn't the original guy. I think that was like a descendant or someone that knew him or maybe took on his practices. Feel like I don't know if he could have kids like in a natural way.
Mm, maybe not.
Maybe.
What I'm thinking is like being somebody that seems like he has learned so-called dark arts. I believe that he would be able to like animate like a clay figure or something, just
Okay,
speaking from
okay.
like something like a golem or an entity like that would take on his form. So kind of
Mhm.
his child, his creation, but not technically, like not biologically, I guess.
Okay,
Because
interesting.
when I asked whether or not he had children specifically, I got death reversed, which is like I'm literally resisting death. I'm not giving in to death.
Okay.
And it feels like there is a lineage, there is like splinters, seven of coins. And what I'm getting here is like I believe that this depiction is very accurate in that saying like there is like splinter off, but there is like the basis is one. Like all of these rosebuds are stemming from this one stem and they go in different directions, but it all comes from the same thing. So I would say maybe, yeah, he discovered a way to have children.
Okay.
I wouldn't completely negate it, but yeah, I believe for the most part it was him that was visible, and like this person, like the latest sighting or something, might have been like a descendant or somebody that was like close to him and just took on
Mhm.
his kind of a persona or identity for a bit, and yeah, it didn't end well.
It didn't end well.
Is
So, okay, this is very, very cool.
this is very interesting because realistically speaking, like how
That's-
would immortality feel like? I guess immortality, if you had like a couple of people like family or friends or a lover or somebody, and you spent immortality with a couple of people, but what if you are immortal but on your own? Like I believe that after a few centuries that would just be like, well, just take me off this earth because I'm bloody done. Like I don't want to do this any longer, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like he must have had his reasons for going so long. It's interesting to me because, like, remember we did the one about Madame Lenormand? Like, she was like on people's radar. Like, she got arrested sometimes. This
Mm-hmm.
guy kind of still moved through all those high up circles, but never got in trouble. Like, it was always like he
Yeah.
was like could see the future or like was one step ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was kind of like, yeah, just like what was the purpose of him doing this? And it just kind of gives me like ego almost. Like he just
Because I
wanted to
can.
see how far it could go. Like I get the six of swords reversed. Like just thinking of interesting ways to get from
Yeah.
point A to point B, century one to century two. And it came out with the magician reversed
Oh,
too,
Lord. Yeah.
which is
Stirring
that
the pot.
manipulative, just kind of heavy, like me. Like he seemed very selfish, for his reasons. And, maybe he was amassing a fortune, but I kind of feel like he got bored of that eventually. I think he was just, yeah, let me just in reverse. Like, what can I do next? Like, what can I change? What can I create? Or what can I do with this immortality? With the knowledge I have, like this alchemy stuff, like, yeah, he would just have to do a little bit to kind of get far. And that gives you like, people a lot of power and a lot of ego.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it just feels a little icky. Like he's just like kind of got, I don't know, really persistent with it after a while.
Hmm.
And kind of what they were saying, like traveling all to different areas. So it's like, oh, it worked in in Italy. Let's go to France. Like, oh, let's go to the New World. Like,
Yeah.
what can I get away with there? And it was very like just, yeah, curiosity, but mostly like for his own power.
Yeah, I feel like Knight of Coins comes through for me, combined with
Mhm.
Temperance and then Three of Cups, which the latter two are actually in reverse. So it feels like it literally is just that aspect of I can, so I will. So that ego aspect is most definitely the aspect that's most predominant. And it is also kind of a stirring up drama, creating a little bit of chaos because he can, because, nobody's going to tell him no. Nobody can really stop him or prevent him or take him out of power. And that's, also the Three of Cups, which just like having fun, playing around, messing around, not really worrying too much about the repercussions or issues or problems that may arise. It is just what it is, and I'm enjoying myself, I'm having fun, I'm playing around, and not really thinking about what potential consequences might come my way. And yeah, I think he definitely stirred some of this stuff up indefinite for like the temperance coming up. It feels like a lot of the drama around him was intentional because he might have just literally been bored. So he would create this sense of chaos, like the spying and stuff like that, to draw attention to himself in order to make it interesting.
Mm. Yeah, I get that for sure. Yeah, there's
Hmm.
like this, yeah, it's like a fine balance. Like he was just always playing with that line. Like,
Yeah,
am I going to cross? Are they, who can I take with me? Like that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
magician, I feel like he was really trying to influence like some history happening.
Hmm.
I think he was at the table or in the ear of some really important people. And I think he was really good at, yeah, like you said, kind of playing with them and kind of saying, "Oh, what if I say this?" Like they're all gonna like just eat it up. And
Yeah.
what's gonna happen if I say it? And he was almost like he knew about that butterfly effect, and he was just like, "Oh, let's try
Yeah.
this."
It
And
feels very intentional.
yeah, very intentional. But he also had like a really good system, right? Like of how to do it. Um,
Subtlety, I guess, right?
Yeah, and remember I sent you that information that he actually wrote like a little alchemy book and it was
Yeah.
in this weird code that was apparently deciphered
Yeah, but like it took how
just
long
like
to
a couple
actually get it,
decades ago or something.
right?
Like I don't know how.
It took them a long time to even crack the code first
Yeah.
off, and then to even understand what it's all about. And yeah, I tried to look into that after you originally mentioned it to me and sent me that article, and
Mhm.
I couldn't find anything online available. You have like the title page and like the book cover available, and I think they're translated, and you have like this cipher unciphered. I don't think that there is more. At least I wasn't able to find anything else. I think it's
No,
the
it's not like you
triangle
can find.
manuscript or something,
Yeah.
triangular manuscript of Saint Germain. Yeah, that's
Um,
interesting. That would be fun to have like on hand and to be able to scroll through and see what that's all about, right?
yeah, oh, for sure. Like when I looked at the like there was a little diagram and it made me really think of astrology, like he was using that kind of energy
Hmm.
for certain outcomes. And I think the book was pointing to like how to, how to manifest things. And anyway, so it's really interesting, like if we could ever get a hold of his actual writings, that would be an amazing day for me.
Yeah, I think that that could literally be like an alchemical text plus like a manifesting thing, like a literal grimoire that functions if depending on what's in it. But very, very fun, interesting. Yeah. Do we have anything else that we want to look into with this man, or have we cracked the code, so to say? Do we think
Um,
we've cracked it?
I feel like it's cracked. I mean, I would just like ask one more question to Saint Germain. Like,
Are you out there?
uh, yeah, like, are you still out there? That is a great question.
Are you out there, dude?
Is he
If
still
you
there?
are, hit us up, be a guest. We would love to have you on the pod. It would be so much fun. We will ask you so many questions, but boundaries, of course. If you want something to be left undisclosed, we would definitely allow that. But we would also like to have like a copy of manuscript each, so we can manifest the shit out of our lives.
I feel like with these cards, he's still out there.
You believe so?
Okay. I got the 5 of Wands reversed, and it came with the 7 of Pentacles. So the
Okay.
way that I'm interpreting that, it's like he's kind of like over everybody's stuff. Like if he is out there, like he's not really like playing the games anymore, or he's not
Mm-hmm.
interacting with people. He's like super hermit mode,
I was
in
just thinking hermit
hiding.
mode.
Hermit mode. And that 7 of Pentacles, like he's still got lots to work with. And
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of just waiting for the right moment or when he wants to jump back in and play the game. Oh, my dog is barking. Yeah, so I think he is hanging out somewhere. I don't know. He's waiting for the right year. He's waiting
Yeah.
for all this, he's waiting for an opportunity, is what it feels like.
I think he got bored and just withdrew because Four of Swords and then Three of Swords, it just feels like he's somewhere like meditating or asleep, either in like some sort of tomb or something. And it's like, do not disturb me, just let me be. And then the Eight of Wands is like the life force is still there, like the blood is pumping, he's alive, there is breath in his lungs, but it's like I've just gone into hermit mode, do not disturb me, and I'm just living out my days or living out my eternity, at least for like this particular century, the way that I want to.
I feel like he's like 2026 is too ghetto for me. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
it's
wait
like this
until
this
like
some fucked up shit.
2050, come back after they figure all this stuff out. Like he's
Yeah,
just not having it.
it's like I'm gonna come back in like 100 years. Like just
Yeah.
let them be.
He's like, I can't wear Crocs. I just
No,
can't do
I
it.
can't do
No.
that. No, no, no. I can't deal with the smartphones, with the TikTok, with all of that bullshit. Just let me be.
Yeah, I can't.
I
Well,
love it.
anyway, okay, well, I could leave it at that. I feel
Yeah.
like we're going through Mercury retrograde and we've got babies crying, phone calls coming in, dogs barking. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a lot of technical interruptions today.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's
But,
been a recording session for sure. But
yeah.
it's
But
been fun.
I'm sure it's going to sound lovely. And I
It is.
appreciate everybody that listens and follows along with us. We're having so much fun doing this. And we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to reach out. We have our IG at Divination Detectives. Mine is guiding_tarot, and Goran is tarot_shuffle. Would love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Bye for
Bye.
now.